Good morning, everyone. I'm Burnett County Judge Brian Wilson. I now call our Burnett County Commissioners Court meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. The time is now 9:01. I call agenda item number 2, the invocation and pledges. I'll begin the meeting with prayer and ask Nick Russo with Venture Church to come to the lectern and pray God's blessing over our Burnett County.
Father, Lord of heaven and earth, I thank you God, I thank you, Lord, for all that you've put in our hands to steward. God, I thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to come and to make decisions concerning this city and this county and this region. God, I ask for, God, that you would direct our paths. God, that you would lead us into paths that are right, that you would give us the humility, the courage, the wisdom, God, to honor you in everything that we do. And I just ask for your hand of blessing and protection to be on every man and woman that you've appointed to be an authority for this time, God. I ask that their families would be blessed, and I ask, Lord, that this county would be blessed, God, as we choose to honor you in all that we do. Lord, I ask that you would help us in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledges to the flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Russo. Appreciate that. Okay, I call agenda item number 3, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action on Burnett County Commissioners Court declaring April 12th through the 18th Telecommunicators Week. In your package, you'll see that under folder number 3, that we have a proclamation of the Commissioners Court, whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, and emergency medical services, and whereas in an emergency occurs, a prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical personnel is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, whereas the safety of our first responders and the public depend upon the quality and accuracy of the information obtained from citizens who contact emergency communication centers, and whereas the public safety telecommunicators are the first and critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas these highly trained professionals serve as the vital link between the public and emergency responders by receiving emergency calls, dispatching and appropriate resources, and providing life-saving instructions during time of crisis. Whereas public safety telecommunicators work under intense pressure while maintaining calm professionalism and compassion to assist citizens and responders in urgent situations, and whereas the dedicated men, women, and serving public safety telecommunicators in Burnett County perform an essential service to our community and deserve recognition for their commitment to protect the safety and well-being of our residents. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Burnett County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and proclaim April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Burnett County, Texas, and encourage all citizens to join in honoring the dedication, service, and professionalism of the public safety telecommunicators who work tirelessly to serve and protect our community. Passed and approved, I hope, this day on the 24th of March, 2026.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution. Before I do any further, Commissioner Byerly had moved and Commissioner Collier seconded. Sheriff Boyd, do you have anything to say about this matter?
Yeah, I appreciate you recognizing our agency. I've asked Erin Biner, boy, it's hard. She's a sergeant in communications right now to say some words, but I wanted to introduce her. She started with our agency in communication and then decided she wanted to be a police officer and worked herself through the academy and luckily stayed with us, and she proved herself very quickly as a deputy. She's received the Wallace Riddell Award. I also received that just a couple years ago. I think it was 1995. Anyway, we're very proud of her. She made sergeant. She was sergeant on patrol. for a good while, and I'm not sure she was 100% committed to go back to communications, but we had a need, and as usual, she stepped up, and she's now the sergeant in communications. So, Sergeant Erin Viner.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm Erin Viner. Like Sheriff said, I'm the Communications Staff Sergeant and Terminal Agency Coordinator for the Burnett County Sheriff's Office. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all today as we recognize Telecommunicators Week and the dedicated professionals who serve as the first point of contact in every emergency. Over the past year, our team has answered thousands of 911 calls, each one representing someone in need, often in a moment of fear or crisis. Alongside those calls, they have managed an even higher number of administrative line calls, coordinated radio traffic, completed TCIC entries, maintained ongoing and constant training, and covered shifts through frequent mandatory overtime. Our communications center is currently operating below recommended staffing levels. Even so, our dedicated telecommunicators continue to meet the demands placed in front of them with professionalism, accuracy, and compassion. They remain steady under pressure and committed to ensuring that every caller receives the help that they need. I would like to take a moment to recognize in front of this court the incredible team by name: Michaela Cloud, Ebony Hunt, Danielle Cummings, Kaylin Hayes, Libby Sproul, Bridget Bristow, and Jesse Parkinson. These are the voices behind the calls. These are the individuals who continue to show up day after day and make sure the system and division continues to work. Before any unit is dispatched, it is our team who gathers the information, prioritizes the response, and sets everything into motion. Every single outcome begins with that first voice on the line. I want to thank this court for the support you have shown our division. At the same time, I think it's important to recognize the level of service being provided today is made possible by the continued dedication and resilience of the individuals in that room, often going above and beyond what would normally be expected. They perform this complicated job not for recognition, but because they know the vital role their job has on the citizens of Burnett County, their deputies, and their officers. It is a noble, honorable calling, and we are blessed as an agency and as a community that they continue to choose to serve every day. No matter the call, no matter the time of day, no matter the circumstances. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sergeant Viner.
We need to take an opportunity. Burnett County is blessed to have two PSAPs in this county, not only in the Sheriff's Office, but also the Highland Lakes Regional Communication Center, and I know that their director is here with us as well. I'd like for her to come up and recognize her crew that she has with us as well. Stacy Baker Marbury.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioner, for the invitation to be here today. We do appreciate it. We get this 1 week a year to really dive into appreciating our staff and our teams and the wonderful servant hearts that our folks have in serving the communities, every visitor in our region. So I'd like to just introduce the Highland Lakes Regional staff. Not all of them are here today, but we have quite the team. Between these 6 individuals here, we have over 90 years of public safety communications in that row. So if you'll just stand up, Robin Bergman, Shift Supervisor and Communications Training Officer. Melanie Boucher, Shift Supervisor and Communications Training Officer. Casey Jordan, Communications Officer. Cameron James, Communications Officer. Raylene Ponslow, Communication Officer and Acting Shift Supervisor. And Natasha Sauer, she is our call taker and training coordinator. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. On the way here, I was thinking about the 911 district, and they put out yesterday their theme for National Telecommunicator Week, and it's called Mission Possible, right? Not Mission Impossible, but Mission Possible. And I think that we are so blessed to have such a supportive county, supportive cities, supportive partners in our region, and the staff, because it really does take the entire team to accomplish the mission that we all have. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, any public comment? Okay, I close public comment. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussions, Commission? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Don't do that a whole lot, though, at that time. A little emphasis there.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, we are very grateful, and we'd like to take, for those that are here, to take a photo with the Commissioners Court, if you don't mind. Come forward. Sergeant Viner. Y'all come on over here. Let's just huddle between the flags. All right. Bruce. Go ahead and hand this to you. You gotta get How's that gonna work? You're excited? Y'all turn this way. I'll turn this way. That's okay. Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Give yourself a raise.
I did. Every chance I get. Just metaphorical, though.
Yeah. Oh, it is, thank you. It's essential.
And thank you, Sheriff Boyd, Chief Trevino, appreciate it. So, let's see, I call agenda item number 4, presentation acceptance or consideration of acceptance of the independent auditor's report that includes the auditor's opinion, comprehensive financial report, and the single audit opinion and report. So I'm going to call on, okay, Kelly, you want to introduce it, or you want just kind of give a quick background?
We completed our independent audit
State your
report
name,
with
sir.
Todd Pruitt. He's going to present the
Yes, go ahead and state your names.
Kelly Glazer,
Okay.
County Auditor.
Okay. And then you want to just give us a quick background of what these documents are, just high level, or you can let him do that?
I'll let
Okay,
Todd
all
do
right.
that.
Thank you. All right. State your name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Todd Pruitt, and I'm a partner with Patillo, Brown and Hill. And I would like to, first of all, thank the county for giving us the opportunity to perform the audit this year. I'd like to also give special thanks to Kelly and all of her staff for all of the assistance they provided during the course of the audit. As you can see by looking at the county's annual financial statements, there's a lot of information in this report. There's over 100 pages of information in this report alone. There's a lot of work that is involved in putting that together at the same time as responding to all of our requests for information and et cetera. And they really did an excellent job of giving us the information that we needed in order to complete this audit in a timely manner. I'll briefly go over what you have here in your documents. As you're aware, we were engaged to perform the county's annual financial statement audit. That's the financial statements that are included in the big, thick bound document that's over 100 pages long. You might also be aware that any local government in the country that spends over $1 million in federal awards in a particular fiscal year triggers what's called a single audit, where you have a compliance audit of those federal awards programs. The county did not hit the federal single audit threshold this year, so there was no federal single audit. Similarly, there is a state single audit. You spend over $1 million in state grant awards, and that triggers the state single audit, and you did hit that threshold. So we have this separately issued report for your state single audit. And then lastly, there is a smaller stapled document. This just contains various communications that are required to be made from an audit firm to a governing body anytime you undergo an audit. So what I'd like to do this morning is to just briefly go over the results of our audit and the communication letter that are contained in 3 separate reports And then if anyone has any questions, either along the way or at the end, I'd be happy to address those. Turning to your financial statement audit here, if you look in the table of contents, you'll see that the report is split out into 3 sections. You got the introductory section, the financial section, and then starting on page 88, the statistical section. And I point that out because the first and last sections, the introductory section and the statistical section, are both unaudited sections. Those aren't supposed to be audited by your auditor. We do make sure that the information in there agrees to the rest of the report and that it contains all the different required elements in order to apply for the GFOA award, but those sections do not fall within the scope of our audit. The audit is performed on the financial section. And you'll see the introductory section is numbered with Roman numerals, and on the very first page of the financial section, you will find our independent auditor's report over the financial statement audit. That's on page 1 of the financial section. And what this report basically says is that the preparation of these financial statements is the responsibility of the county. We can assist with the preparation of the financial statements, and we do, as long as certain safeguards for independence are put into place, and they were. But ultimately, it's the county's responsibility to prepare the financial statements. It's your auditor's responsibility to express an opinion on the financial statements. I'm happy to report that we've issued what's called an unmodified opinion. You'll often hear it referred to as a clean opinion. It's the highest form of opinion that you can receive. And what it really means to you as the user of these financial statements is that the financial section has been audited by our firm, and in our opinion, they're free of any material misstatements. They're also presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. You'll also note in the very last paragraph on page 3 that our audit was performed in accordance with government auditing standards. And those standards require your auditor to do a number of things that go beyond just generally accepted auditing standards, one of which is to report on your internal controls over the financial reporting process and compliance. You will find that report on the very first page of your state single audit report. And you'll see this report is basically split out into 2 sections. On page 1, we're talking about internal controls over financial reporting. And what this really means here is that in order for us to plan and perform your audit, we first have to gain an understanding of your internal controls over the financial reporting process. That's really just all the policies and procedures that you put in place that ultimately result in the preparation of these financial statements. We're doing that not in order to identify deficiencies, but so that we can plan and perform our audit accordingly. However, if during that process we do identify any deficiencies, either in the way that they were designed or the way that they're operating, we are required to report them in this report. And you can see here on page 1 that there were no significant deficiencies that were identified during the audit with respect to your internal controls over the financial reporting process. The second part of this report on page 2 deals with compliance. And here we're talking about compliance with laws, regulations, contracts, and grants. There are items that we believe if we were to find non-compliance, they could have a material impact on your financial statements. And usually that situation would arise if there was a situation that would create some type of non-compliance with those items that could create a liability in your financial statements. For example, if we were testing, say, a grant, and we found some costs were charged to a particular grant that we were not sure are allowable under that program, therefore you might end up having to return those funds to the granting agency. That would be the type of thing that would show up in this report, your government auditing standards report. And you can see in the very last sentence the first paragraph, the results of our test disclose no instances of noncompliance that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. The third and final report that we've issued immediately follows that report, starting on page 3. This is the report that covers the compliance audit of your state grant awards. As I mentioned earlier, any time you expend more than $1 million in state grants in a fiscal year, it's going to trigger this single audit process. If you look on page 6, you'll see a schedule called the Schedule of Expenditures of State Awards. And you can see the county had just over $2.7 million of state grants that they expended, had expenditures for during the fiscal year. Now, the way that this compliance audit works of either your federal or your state grants, your auditor doesn't test every program every year. They perform a risk assessment, and they select certain programs for testing. If you look on page 8, about midway in the middle of the page, you'll see a line item that says identification of major programs. All a major program is with respect to the single audit is a program that was selected for testing. So this year, we tested the Rural Law Enforcement Salary Assistance Program. And we tested that particular grant program for compliance with different types of compliance requirements required by the granting agency. Usually those things are things like allowability of cost, or the cost that you charge to the program allowable under the program. Most grant awards come with reporting requirements. So did you file report? Were you required to file reports? Did you file them on time? Were they filed accurately? There's a lot of different compliance requirements that could come into play. You could have matching requirements, for example. But ultimately, this report on page 3, we're doing two things. One, we're expressing an opinion as to whether or not, in our opinion, you did comply with the requirements of the program. And for that part, we've issued an unmodified opinion. Again, you'll often hear that called a clean opinion. And all it really means is that in our opinion, you did in fact comply with the requirements of that program in all material respects. The second part of this report talks about internal controls, similar to what we discussed earlier with respect to internal controls over preparing your financial statements. But here we're talking about internal controls over complying with that particular grant program. If we were to have identified any deficiencies, either in the way those controls were designed or the way they were operating, we would be required to include them in this report. But as you can see in this report, there were no significant deficiencies over your internal controls with respect to your state grant program that we tested. So from a results of the audit standpoint, you really have exactly what you're looking for as a governing body. You've got, you're batting 1,000 here. You've got clean opinion on your financial statements. You have no significant deficiencies that were identified with the internal controls with respect to either preparing your financial statements or that one state grant program that we tested. And with respect to noncompliance, there were no instances of noncompliance that were identified that could have an impact on your financial statements. And there were also no instances of noncompliance with that particular state grant program that we tested. So it's a very, very clean audit. I'm happy to report that the results of that audit were so positive. I would like to take a few minutes and just briefly go over a few items in this communication letter. A lot of these items I've already touched on really when I was going over the opinion letters. As you can see, we talked about our responsibility and the county's responsibility and independence. But there are a couple items that I would like to point out because they do have a tendency to cause confusion sometime. If you look at page 2, there you'll find a heading called Significant Risks Identified. This is a somewhat new requirement to include this in this letter. I think it's only been in there for a few years, and it's caused a little bit of confusion, so I always like to point it out. Your auditor's always had significant risks. However, until a few years ago, we haven't actually had to report them in this letter. But all a significant risk is that at the beginning of our audit, we're performing risk assessments. We always have to identify things that could be significant risks as we move through the audit. Significant risk being just really something that would be an area where we're more likely to find a material misstatement. The first one there, management oversight of controls, that's the one that really has caused people some concern for the most part, but that's a significant risk in every audit. So that's always going to be not in just Burnett counties, but every county, every audit, as a matter of fact. In the standards, that always has to be a significant risk. The second one, compensated absences, there was a new accounting standard this year that went into place that changed the way you had to account for your compensated absences. Significant new accounting standards are always going to be a significant risk as well, not in the standards, but just because of their nature. And then classification of equity. Anytime you have a lot of different funds, you usually have a higher risk there of there being a misclassification of your equity. But just because you have these significant risks, that doesn't indicate that there was an issue. You can see in the very first sentence there that none of the risks that are listed there below resulted in any significant matters, findings, or issues. So I point that out just to point out that that's not indicative of an issue. That's just indicative of risks that were identified before the audit started. The bottom of page 2 talks about significant estimates. Preparation of financial statements, always, for the most part, you're going to have some estimates in those financial statements. And we do look at all those estimates and make sure that they fall within an acceptable range. Most of the rest of this letter are just things that we did not have. We didn't have any significant difficulties or disagreements with management, et cetera. As I mentioned earlier, the results of the audit were very, very positive, actually. So that's basically the results of the audit. If you have any questions about the financial statements or about the audit process, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Can you describe a little bit about your risk assessment process and how you determine?
With respect to the financial statement audit or the grant part of the audit, or both?
I guess the entirety of like, before you showed up on site or right after you showed up on site,
Well,
how did you analyze risk for a county?
I would say you're going to have certain risks that are going to be in place at any county. Those are a lot of the things that end up being in your audit report. I mean, I think we've audited over 25% of the counties in the state, so we know a lot of risks that are going to be inherent to any counties in general. Then we go through a process of going through your internal controls, and in the significant areas, we'll do, at least at a minimum, we'll do walkthroughs of those significant internal control processes to see if there's any issues. And a walkthrough would just be, hey, walk us through one transaction. Like, how does this work? Somebody comes in and makes a payment. Walk us through everything that you do, and we document that process. Now, with respect to the federal or state grant internal controls, those have to actually be tested. That's a requirement in the standards. You have to actually test those controls. So that goes beyond just doing walkthroughs. You start off with a walkthrough, then ultimately you're going to pull a sample and we're going to actually test those controls and make sure that they're actually functioning properly. You can do that in the financial statement audit as well. It's not done as much because it's not required, and a lot of times it's not as efficient to do that as it is to just perform substantive tests themselves. But there are instances where we will do, in every audit, we'll test some of the controls of your internal controls in the financial statement, but we're not going to test controls over every single process that you have on the financial statement end.
So, for instance, we have tens of thousands of POs issued. You're not going to go and pull every PO, but during a review of a transaction, or you'll pick a group or an individual and just walk through, did the PO get issued? Is that what
That's to gain an understanding of the controls, yes. Then when we're actually testing the different areas, we would pull a sample of those and test those for test of details to make sure that your financial statements agree to what actually happened.
And then the number and the quantity, that you're doing, the number you choose is statistical significance based on a confidence level, and then the transactions.
Yes, we have to follow the guidance in the AICPA's audit sampling guide, and we put in all the information there, and it will tell us the sample size, and those sample sizes range quite a bit. When you're testing controls, you're generally looking at least a sample size of 40 on any given population. They can be smaller when you're doing some of the financial statement sampling.
And then, so if you hold those 40, then you check those 40 transactions, and then you confirm the internal controls. So just want to make sure that we get that.
Yes.
We clearly understand. A lot of people don't understand internal controls, but we're talking about the transactions that are occurring in a stream of protect that are required, the elements of which are required to protect the government and the people, to make sure that we are following our process.
Exactly. And usually just one variance out of a sample of 40 is going to cause us to have to do further work. So,
Thank you.
mhm.
Any other questions?
I'd move for acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial report as well as the single state audit report.
Commissioner Dockery has moved and Commissioner Luther has seconded. Is there any public comment on this issue? Okay, I close public comment. Any other further discussion from Mr. Pruitt or among yourselves? Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Pruitt. Okay, I call agenda item number 5, pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551007, and the Burnett County Commissioners Court Rules of Decorum. Any person may make a comment on any item not appearing on the agenda. Any comments made will not be deliberated on by this Commissioners Court during this public comments agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Public comment for items listed on this agenda will be heard when the agenda item is called. So is there any public comment for items not on the agenda? Okay, I close this public comment. I call agenda item number 7, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding a request to replat lot MCE2 Wolf Creek Ranch in Burnett County to be known as lots MCE2A and 2B Wolf Creek Ranch, and a division of 1 lot into 2. Commissioner Luther, Mr. Darling.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Herb Darling, Burnett County Development Services. We have a typical policy to where we really don't like to re-subdivide lots. In other words, make one lot into 2. In this particular instance, the parent tract is over 30 acres. Resulting lots would be 15 and 18 respectively, thereabouts. They have gone through the steps. They have the POA approval. And it's my recommendation to the court that this particular replat be approved.
Is there any public comment on this agenda item? I close public comment. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
Commissioner Luther moved and Commissioner Byerly seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Call agenda item number, I'm going to pass on number 8. The landowners and folks weren't ready for that. Number 8, so if you want to make a mark in there unless there's an objection. Go call agenda item number 9. Discuss, consider, and take appropriate action concerning a request for preliminary plat approval, for Kaliza subdivision, a private subdivision consisting of 38 lots on 61.79 acres located near the intersection of FM 243 and County Road 274 in Burnett County, Texas. Commissioner Byerly. Commissioner Dark?
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't cuss me.
boy, I got to get my tongue.
This is a subdivision, it's gonna be on a water system out there off 243. An existing water system is gonna expand based on the water rights that this will allow them.
Correct.
So they'll have taps, there won't be individual wells on this one, and everything for that public water supply goes to the state for verification. So on the
And-
water side, there's not much we can say or do.
Yes, Commissioner, you're absolutely correct, but they have drilled wells, done the testing. They've also come into compliance with the fire requirements for the SD out there. This particular group wishes to get the preliminary approved. Upon preliminary approval, they will build out the infrastructure and come back for final at a future date.
Are they surrendering water rights for this?
They will, yes, sir.
They have one well, two wells, or what have they drilled so far?
I can't remember what they.
Gentlemen, this,
Sorry. Sam Walker with Eckerman Engineering, the map guy. Anyway, yes, there is a well actually on the adjacent property. We'll be adding to the Sunset water system. So there's an old well that's to be plugged, or is plugged on this current property, but the well that'll be joined to the other is on the adjacent property. It was originally a 72-acre piece. 10 acres were sold to a residential lot next door, but the groundwater rights were retained. So that, it's a little bit of moving pieces there, but that's how that kind of makes, if that makes sense at all. But those 72 acres, acre feet or acre of groundwater rights will be dedicated to Sunset as part of that amended operating permit, which we still have to go through that process.
Right, and the availability study shows that it's there to supply the taps.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything outstanding on preliminary? And then when it comes back for final, we'll make sure they did everything, like the
eyes dotted,
water
T's
rights.
crossed. Yes, sir.
To Commissioner Dockery's point. Okay, I move for approval.
Second?
Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Lyerly, seconded by Commissioner Collier. Any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, I close public comment. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes.
Judge, are you worried you missed 6? I didn't know if you did that on purpose or not.
Sorry. I call agenda item number 6. Thank you, Commissioner Docker. Discuss and consider and take appropriate action regarding the burn ban for the unincorporated areas of Burnett County. Mr. Marcia.
Derek Marcio, Burnett County Emergency Management Coordinator. So sat down and talked to basically all the fire chiefs yesterday. There's only a couple I couldn't get a hold of. They're all in favor of keeping it. And after driving around a bit yesterday myself and seeing all of the freeze-cured, dry, dead grasses that are still out there in many of the fields, despite a lot of the green-up that we've seen since the last rain, I would have to make that same recommendation to keep the burn ban in place, simply due to the fact that, fire dangers are really reliant right now just on daily weather. Humidities are staying on the low side over, during the day. We're getting great recoveries at night, so anything that we do have that may start would be easier to deal with and probably be able to get done with quickly. But still, that danger exists for a large fire at this time. I know one thing, I guess, from the last meeting, so the KBDI, I know, is one of our, kind of one of our sticking points that we usually hit on. Right now, we're sitting at a 327, a change of 10 over the previous day, or 41 points over the last week. Our, maximum value, of course, being 421, and then a minimum value of 108 that really just sits out there right on Lake Buchanan. That's the area that has seen the most rain, but by and large, those higher values do exist more across the county.
I noticed yesterday that Llano and Lampasas County also joined in the burn ban, so all of Central Texas essentially in a burn ban.
And they got 4 inches of rain in a lot of places over there.
So yeah, just my recommendation would be to keep it at this point. So we tried that in the past, and I think the attorneys came back with a no on that. I know Llano County does it. I had it written up at one time to be able to do it, but we had to take that language out of there based on our attorney's recommendation.
Can we revisit that one and see if there is a legal issue with?
So far, everything's come back, there is a legal issue that we can't delegate this is a function of the Commissioners Court. Now, remember, at any time when we have rain, I can lift it and then call an emergency meeting for the Commissioners to reimpose it within 3 working days. I mean, I have to do a three working day post. So it's effectively the same thing, but so far, we haven't seen that window yet. We got the 3 to 4 inches over in Llano County, and it hit the edge of our county. That was about a month ago, wasn't it?
Last rain was about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Well, I'm not
2-3
advocating
weeks
that
ago.
we lift it, you know.
No, no.
But when we get 3 or 4 days worth of rain,
I
you
understand.
know, there's a window there
Well,
that folks can take care of their.
When that happens, I promise you, I'll lift it and call an emergency meeting. But the issue right now has been that we haven't, other than it was a spotted rain. I got 7/10. I don't know, you're out on the far side. Did you get that in South County? And with that drying wind that we had the next 3 days, it was disappeared. So the question isn't lifting the burn ban. We can lift it and then do an emergency meeting, even if only 3 of us can come back. We can still take care of that under the statute. So we have the tools that we need right now. I will check again with bigger staff to see if they have any additional, but just reading the plain language of the statute, I understand other counties do it, but I don't see in our statute, in that particular statute, where that authority actually exists. And that's what so far we've had 2 attorneys look at it and come back with that. So I'm ready with my pen as soon as he walks in the door with a 2-inch rain, or 1.5 inches even.
Yeah, no, because that statute basically only it allows the judge to pull it, but it takes the court to put it on. And the only other way that we
Unless there's
have,
an emergency.
of course, and the only other way that, the judge would be able to put it on if it was, and I would hate to say, okay, we're going to lift it, well, now we got to put it back on so fast that we have to do an actual disaster declaration to do it.
And that's not comfortable if there's not actually
No.
a disaster.
Exactly.
But I think that's, when somebody gets 2 inches of rain, they want it lifted because it's good for them, but countywide rarely get that much rain.
Right, and, I understand, folks, this last time we got that rain, they were, really wanting to get that burn ban lifted, but the forecasts just did not support it, and neither did the fuels out in the county.
I'm not talking about a rain that just comes through, I'm talking about 3 or 4 days.
A good, solid.
Right,
And
that type of thing.
I'm ready with my pen.
And that was one of the things I discussed with a lot of the fire chiefs yesterday. That's what they're waiting for, is that real spring rains to actually really come through and knock down a lot of this freeze-cured, dead fuels that are out there.
Yeah, if we don't get that in the next pretty short window, we're going to be in trouble this summer. Period.
Well, unfortunately, things are kind of shaping up so far the way we looked last year, at least trend-wise, which was March and April were pretty dry. I think we're going to be a little wetter this year, but not by much, at least not until we really get into May.
Okay.
No action. Any public comment? Close public comment. All right.
Gotta find that green pen.
Can't, it's not official. Green pen. All right, thank you. So, I call agenda item number 10, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action to adopt the proposed volunteer and unpaid intern policy and application. Derek, do you want to speak to this? You can go ahead and introduce your potential volunteer.
Well, he's already been volunteering,
We
but.
don't have a policy yet, Derek, don't say that.
So he's at least background checked, and we did a volunteer agreement that went through the legal processes. But the thing is what we don't have a classification with, with HR to where a volunteer or unpaid intern is treated in the same way as an employee. So, what that does really is it kind of hamstrings me in being able to bring on, help for my office, or if anybody else wanted to do the same thing within the county, to where you have an unpaid intern or a volunteer, they can't have something as simple as a county email to conduct county business that would be subject to, any sort of public information laws. So, not having that email is a little difficult. That's just one of the issues. But also it means, I can't give them a key to be able to get in. Now, to give you some background on that, when I was an intern and later volunteer with the town of Little Elm, when I started my career out, I had an employee badge that said intern on it, emergency management intern. And it got me into doors at the fire station, the police station, or, well, it was the public safety building, but it got me into those areas to be able to go and do my job, to work on a city computer with a city with login, the whole 9 yards. I was treated as an employee at that point. It's just I turned in a piece of paper at the end of every week with how many hours I did, to prove that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But, post-flood, I do want to introduce, of course, Mr. Hashbarger here. So post-flood, he helped out absolutely tremendously with the VFW here in town. And, with that, decided that he wanted to make kind of change his career a little bit, come into emergency management, come back to public service. And volunteering with my office where I need help daily, especially when it comes to long-term projects that tend to just get put to the side because of the, crisis of the day, it seems. He's been a great help over the last 3 months of being, of him coming in. We've got a lot of things lined out to be able to start moving forward, just waiting for a few answers from the state. But like I said, that'll help to make my office more deliberate and in a manner that it needs to be, at least until we can actually hire some full-time help within my office. But yes, like I say, Ed has been an absolute, asset. Of course, last week, I ended up having an opportunity to go out of town that was, couldn't pass up, and he helped out by getting everything opened up and, representing my office for the severe weather and flood training that occurred with National Weather Service.
Ed, you want to go ahead and just state your name for the record and tell a little bit about yourself?
Judge, Commissioners, I'm Ed Hashbarger, and I'm currently the volunteer under Derek for Burnett County Emergency Management.
And you're a veteran, is that right?
I am a veteran, yes, sir. Yeah. So yeah, he kind of gave the whole story already. Yeah, he spoke, everything I was going to say he touched on already, so.
Okay, thank you. Good.
I'm assuming this form that we have in the packet today is put together by our HR department? is that-
HR has reviewed it, our attorney reviewed it,
Okay.
and so this is what we need. So there's other departments, the county attorney, the district attorney reached out to me. They also use interns, and so that's why I broadened it a little bit. The volunteers are interns. Checked with the auditor's office that these folks are covered under our insurance policy, our risk assessment pool, risk management pool. So the issue, a lot of times, now, I don't know, are you trying to complete a certification of any kind, Ed? But
Not in particular, no. This has been part of my career path for the last almost 20 years.
Okay, thank you.
So just kind of accumulated towards that with the flood and
Okay.
the need of the county, and I'm here now.
But
so.
some people have to do some practicum work or whatever, and they can get credit. And so by having this policy put in place, if he were trying to get a particular certification or whatever, he would be able to, this policy gives them coverage for meeting requirements that they might have under a particular type of, like in law school, for instance, they get so many hours, often will get so many hours, or even undergrads will get so many hours of doing work in a law office, things like that. So I think it's a good idea. It just needed to be clarified. This does not change. We have a Burnett County key control policy that's managed by the sheriff's office. I don't want to, if a person was a volunteer, they still have to go through the process that the sheriff is already managing. That's why I underlined those in here. They're still subject to all of our employee handbook issues and requirements. So.
I'd move for adoption.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dockery, seconded by Commissioner Luther. Is there any public comment?
comments, sir.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you got to come up here. It's not public, but an employee comment, so.
Okay. Sir, I'm Mike Evans. I'm the Elections Administrator, but that has nothing to do with my comment here. I just want to say that I know Ed personally for the past 5 years through the VFW. He is an Afghanistan vet who's he operated in some very dangerous areas, very good man. During the flood, I was out of town, but he was instrumental in providing meals and volunteers. They provided 600 meals average daily for over 2 weeks. And that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He coordinated transportation, and he was there 16 hours a day. Ed's an upstanding member of the community, and I vouch for him. He'll do great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mike. All right. Okay, close public comment. It's been moved by Commissioner Dockery, seconded by Commissioner Luther to adopt this policy. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Okay, I'll say for the record, Commissioner Byerly is leaving the meeting. We'll continue with quorum. I call agenda item number 11, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action to allow the use of the county equipment and labor to assist the Marble Falls Rodeo Association, a nonprofit organization pursuant to Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code and its other authorities regarding arena preparation for the upcoming rodeo. Such action will be authorized, deemed to serve and recognize the public purpose, including economic development pursuant to Chapter 381 of the Texas Government Code and other authorities. Commissioner Dockery.
This has been historically the type of work that we do with the nonprofit organization, and move for approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Dockery and seconded by Commissioner Collier. Any public discussion? Okay, any public comment? Closed public comment? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. I call agenda item number 12, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action to suspend the budget policy, fleet policy, to purchase a new vehicle previously budgeted for the Constable Precinct 2 and allow the existing vehicle to remain in the fleet vehicle. Under our 26 budget, we've authorized for the Commissioner Constable 2 to buy a new vehicle. However, we still have need with this constable and other constables for reserve deputies. Normally, the policy requires that they decommission the vehicle before they can purchase, and I'm asking for an exception to that. All right. Any public comment on this agenda item? Close public comment.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Dockery has moved. Commissioner Collier has seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Call agenda item number 13, discuss and consider take appropriate action regarding the out-of-state travel for Deputy Kowalik and Sergeant Swain to attend the, can't quite make up that word, excuse me, Drone Sense Innovation Summit in Verstrom in Scottsdale, Arizona, April 20th, 23rd, 22nd, 2026. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, I close public comment. This is a specialized training for drone operators. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Collier, seconded by Commissioner Luther, that we, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. I call agenda item number 14, discuss and consider take appropriate action regarding the approval of the Treasurer's monthly report for February 2026. Ms. Crowno.
Good morning, Carrie, Burnett County Treasurer. I have cash balances for February 2026. We had a beginning cash and investments balance of $87,567,581.82. We received $16,652,204.94. Our interest earnings for February were $247,388.72. We dispersed a total of $12,344,048.47, leaving us with a month-ending cash and investments balance of $92,070,443.40. We did receive donations to Vet Rides for $5,353.50.
It's a good donation to Vet Rides, I'll tell you, that's nice.
Yep. Thank you. Of course. I heard a motion.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Luther, Commissioner Collier seconded. Any public comment? Okay, close public comment. All those in favor, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I call agenda item number 15, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the following invoices without purchase orders or contracts as required in local government code. Just 1 second, please. In Local Government Code 113901, Burnett County Sheriff's Office to Net Solutions and Security LLC for data transmission and Brivo support and the latest firmware in amount not to exceed $100. Burnett County Technology Department to Condor Document Services for hard drives in the amount not to exceed $112.18. Burnett County Maintenance Department to Fixdor in the commercial repair for the amount not to exceed $528. Burnett County Sheriff's Office XLR8 for embroidery in the amount of not to $101, and the Burnett County Sheriff's Office to D&W and print office supplies for a stamp in the amount not to exceed $336. Is there any public comment on this? Okay. Did you have something? You want?
That's not the sheriff's office.
What's that?
Item number, Alan Trevino, Chief Deputy, Burnett County Sheriff's Office. Item number E is actually the Elections Office and not the Burnett County Sheriff's Office, if you look at the
Okay.
invoicing.
Okay, thank you. Just miss typo, thank you. Strike E, Burnett County Sheriff's Office, as I read, and put in Elections Office. Okay?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Collier and seconded by Commissioner Luther. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. I call agenda item number 16, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action regarding the following budget interdepartment line item transfers. Burnett County Sheriff's Office transferring $26,000 from operating supply to contracts and agreements. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, close public comment. I have a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Luther moved and Commissioner Collier, Dockery seconded. Sorry, you're being my steady second, so.
I'll try to do better next
Yeah,
time.
no, that's okay. Okay, any further discussion? All those opposed say no, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Call agenda item number 17, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action for the authorization of payments of various claims previously approved by the Burnett County Auditor as detailed in attached expense approval register. Is there any public comment on these items? Okay. Close public comment. I have a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Dockery moved and Commissioner Collier seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. I call agenda item number 18, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action to approve, sign, and execute all necessary documents and actions regarding the following contracts. I believe that these two library contracts are not properly posted because there's no amount either in the posting and there's no amount on the contract. So I'm going to ask that we skip A and B, and we've got till June to deal with this. So if you don't mind, I'd like to leave A and B off until I can find out what the nature of these contracts are and how much money is involved. But all the rest of them are properly posted and have the amounts of money, or they don't have money in the case that is. So discuss, consider, take appropriate action, and approve, sign, and execute all necessary documents for the following contracts. If you allow me to work on A and B, and I'll go to C, and authorization for submission of the annual property renewal schedule for the Texas Association of Counties. This one is not It's just we turn in our inventory to them, and then they assess us. It's not a transactional thing other than to notify them how many cars, which cars we have, and things like that. D is the Peace Officer Training Reimbursement Agreement for Cadet Clinton A. Milam in an amount not to exceed $30,419.96. Enter an annual interlocal agreement with the City of Cottonwood Shores and adoption of an order in the amount not to exceed $15,000. Enter into social media management contract with Burnett County Tourism and Let's Get Social in the amount not to exceed $9,000. Enter an interlocal agreement, cooperation agreement between Comal County and Burnett County for the jail services, and authorization to apply for FY27 Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority Task Force grant with a match requirement not to exceed 20% to fund the Heart of Texas Auto Theft Task Force Department.
I'd move for approval of everything under 18 except for A and B.
Okay. Commissioner Dockett has moved. Commissioner Luther has seconded. Any public comment? Okay. All right. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. I call agenda item number 19, discuss, consider, and take appropriate action to approve, sign, and execute all necessary documents and actions regarding the following sponsorships to be funded through the Hotel Occupancy Tax Fund, Granite Fest, and Granite Shoals 60th year anniversary sponsorship in an amount not to exceed $1,250. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? I close the public comment.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Collier has moved and Commissioner Luther has seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Motion passes. I call in agenda item number 20, discuss, consider, and take appropriate actions to do the following for bid number 265120, jail final panel upgrade. And what we have to do here is we had issued this bid several months ago. It went out to bid. We found out that the technology that was under that bid was going to be, what do you call it, not expired, but what's the word?
Obsolete.
Obsolete, thank you. Within a short time after we install it. When the jailer learned, jail and sheriff learned that this was the case, they've asked us to totally withdraw the entire process and let them start back over. And I'll go ahead and finish reading. Consider rescinding the award for Tactics Fire Contracts, LLC, DBA COSAR Contract, LLC, reject any and all bids, and/or authorize the auditor's office to correct the specifications and rebid the projects in accordance with the statutory requirements and the jail's needs. I will add on this agenda item. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Have a motion?
I'll move to approve A through D.
Okay. Commissioner Collier has moved.
Second.
Commissioner Luther second. Any public comment? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. I call agenda item number 21, acknowledge receipt, PEC utility connections of March 9th and March 16th, LCRA letter of change in leadership, Texas Wildlife Services MIS monthly summary for February 9th and February 23rd, TECQ notices of public meeting and extension of public comment for the proposed renewal with amendment to general permit authorizing discharge of pesticides, TCEQ notice of application preliminary decision for water quality land application permit for the municipal wastewater amendment, Marble Falls area EMS update, the Burnett County Auditor's 2026 financial report February, and the Burnett County Elections Canvas cumulative results report. I do want to make a couple mentions on these items, commissioners. On H, we've been getting, we give about a little over $500,000 to 2 different ambulance services, and there's an additional ambulance service that's wanting to move into the area, which will be probably on the April 14th agenda. So, but one of the things I realize, we don't have a standardized report, so I'm asking Marble Falls to get with the city of Burnett to kind of standardize the report so that we get a report from both entities going forward, okay? So look for that, and then this will help us to better assess whether to grant approvals for other ambulance providers in the area. And then the second thing I want to point out is the Burnett County Elections Canvass cumulative report results. I have Michael Evans here to talk about that report that's under your tab in 21.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Mike Evans, the Burnett County Elections Administrator. I'm going to open up with the big picture of the key takeaways from my vantage point of the election. And then I'll provide you with the handouts if you don't have them already, and we'll go over the details of Burnett County. So this primary had some real key and notable things that happened. Number one is 24% of the 18.7 million Texas residents that registered to vote voted. That includes 2.3 million Democrats and 2.2 million Republicans. So it's the first time since 2020, the Republican presidential race, or the presidential race, that Democrats voted in higher numbers than Republicans. The Dem turnout was notably higher by about 110,000. Another notable topic out of that is the U.S. Senate for the Democrats, topped 122 million in campaign funding. It made it the most expensive primary race in Texas history. So I just found that to be very notable. Also, this is the first election that we have instituted our redistricting. We took on U.S. Congressional District number 11 down in our southern border of Burnett County. And what's key there is with the divide, the redistricting in Texas, it has caused other states within the nation to follow suit. So California, and then not just California, but Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio, Utah, and Maryland, and Virginia, it prompted them to work on their redistricting as well. So Texas is kind of leading the way in that respect. And it looks like you guys, you have the cumulative report. I only printed the cumulative report because it's 20 pages. The precinct report, as you're aware, Judge, and the...
Was that the 1,100 page?
Yes, sir,
Right,
yeah.
okay,
And so
I opted not to go with that.
my heart couldn't allow me to do that. These trees are too pretty. And so with that, we'll go down to Burnett County and the layout of what happened here. We've got over 40,000 voters now, 40,500. And out of that, 12,585 showed up at the polls for the primaries. 9,713 were Republican, which encompassed 77% of voter turnout, and 2,872 Democrat, which is 23%. And when I compare that to 2024, we had a higher one this year, but in 2024 we had 10,945, which is 9,707 Republicans, which is only 6 less than this last election, and 1,238 Democrats, which was, they showed up this year. And that laid out to 89% Republican, 11% Democrat. So Republican voters went down from 89 in 24 to 77%. Democrats increased from 11% to 23%. It's just situational awareness. So you've had a chance to review the cumulative report. Nothing really notable until, let's see here. One thing of note is on page 4, Comptroller of Public Accounts for the Republican Party. This one's a sleeper. A lot of people aren't paying attention, but it's a pretty big one. Kelly Hancock was he's the acting comptroller now, and he was backed by Abbott, and Don Huffines was backed by Trump. And that was a very, very close race. Overall, looks like Burnett really liked Huffines. What makes this key is just the division there between Abbott and Trump. And this position is in charge of $388 billion, so that's quite a position there. And then if we move to page 11, we go to our local county elections, and just to go over the winners here. We've got for county judge, Wilson over Trevino. It was a really close race here in Burnett. We had several unopposed. Cody Henson at the County Court of Law for the judge, County Court of Law. The district clerk, Casey Walker, county clerk, Vicenta Stafford, county treasurer, Carrie Crownover, county commissioner precinct 2, Dana Beerley, had a sizable lead there. Joe Don, Dockery, unopposed. JP precinct 1, unopposed, Ricehead Nelson. And yeah, you see there.
All right, is there anything of note that we need to know as far as how the election went overall? You rely a lot on volunteers. I don't know, did that work out okay?
Yes, sir, we have a lot of volunteers. And the election went off pretty well. Speaking to my counterparts in Llano and a couple of other counties, this was the toughest election. I'm not sure what was so challenging, but it was the toughest election for a lot of the election administrators. It's been especially tough for me because I am brand new, and I'm a pretty quick study, but I feel like this is some of the volunteers and poll workers has kind of put me at a disadvantage when I'm trying to learn. I get tasked with items that that don't have any bearing on the election process or the results of the election. I found myself having to be in attorneys' offices a lot for naught. We had a situation last week where we didn't have, it was an administrative error, and one of our ballot bags didn't have the signature, even though it was sealed, and we confirmed it was sealed. We went through, it was blown up way out of proportion, and we went through so much, going to Mr. Arredondo's office, calling the attorneys in Austin, only to find when we finally called the Secretary of State, they said, oh yeah, it happens, it's a training issue, you let it go. And this is just an example of what I've had to go through because of individuals who come in and want to nitpick every little thing, and I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I'm not sure because I'm still on a steep learning curve, and this is time that it's not conducive to a learning environment, and I just wanted to make that, I just wanted that for the record.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for all you do.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
It'll get better, I'm sure.
Okay, this acknowledgement, so we don't need to take any action. I call agenda item number 21, calendar review.
22.
22. 391 Commission. I will tell you that we created the 391 Commission with the City of Burnett. They have submitted some bylaws that for us to consider on the special meeting on April 1st. I'll get those out to you as soon as I can. And so the way although the entity, much like CAPCOG, can adopt its own bylaws, at least at first, they want the Commissioners Court and the City Council to buy off on the bylaws. It's not required, but I think it's a good practice until we get, and then they're beginning the formulation, and a lot of the things, just like CAPCOG, they'll be able to do on their own for the planning and of that commission. So just wanted to give you the heads up. You're gonna have a future meeting on that, and then there's anything else that anybody else wants to raise. There's lots of things happening this weekend. Nothing. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Vicente Stafford, County Clerk. Just to put on y'all's radar, and you'll get invitations soon, but on May the 15th will be the county picnic, the employee picnic. So it's a Friday, but that will all come out probably before the end of the week, but May the 15th.
Thank you. I should have. All right. Anything else? Okay. Call agenda item number 23.
Move to adjourn?
Yes.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Commissioner Collier, Commissioner Dockery, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes.
10:18.